Everybody, it's 5:30. I'd like to call this evening's Attleboro School Building Committee meeting to order at 5:30. Welcome all. Jason Parento is here, Jackie's here, Jerry's here, no Jay Allard, Kate is here, Terry's here, no Ed, Mark Furtado is here, Rob's here, Peter Gagne, Jeremy, and no Gail yet. Of course, I'm here with Mr. Jacoby. Very good. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 28th, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any comments, questions, concerns about the minutes of the 28th? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved, thank you. And now the good stuff. The update.
Alrighty. As far as work within the building, the dehumidification units throughout the shops, those have been completed. We did the startup reports, and those have been submitted to KBA for approval. Ongoing work, we have the freight farm going on right now. We are pouring the concrete pad tomorrow. We finished forming today. So after the pad is finished, then we will coordinate getting the unit actually set. And then there's some landscaping around the unit. Just for reference, it's around this area outside of the locker rooms.
Thank you for that. I was just thinking, where is
Yeah.
it?
Further over. Right there, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's tucked right in that corner there.
All right, and then as for work coming up during April vacation, we're going to be doing some landscaping on the inner part of the bus loop. So we will be digging that out and reseeding that with some wetland seed. We are also doing some punch list work related to some of these trees in the cafe plaza, as well as just ongoing maintenance for the sod before the sod is finally approved. Some hydro seeding once the season opens up, which is around April 15th, depending on the weather. And then we have had the fencing subcontractor out for the past couple weeks doing some punch list items on the athletic fence. And they'll still be kind of lingering, doing some of those items throughout the spring. Inside the building during spring break, we will be adding some signage in the central office area, as well as a vinyl in the principal's office. And the central office desk is going to be demoed, and a new desk is going to be put in during that week. Any questions?
Yes. I missed this morning's meetings. My apologies. So how's everything with the roof and the various leaks, big and small?
Good. So we only have that one remaining leak that's up on the 4th floor that we've been chasing.
Is that the one through the HVAC unit? Or was
Yes,
it? Okay.
yes. So today we had our quality manager from Consigli out to review, just get some fresh eyes on it. Since Greenwood couldn't find anything and Arden hadn't found anything either. We're pretty convinced it is part of the unit. We think that where the intake is for the air handling unit was pulling a little bit too much vacuum at one point when the dampers were changing and might have pulled some driven rain in. We obviously have to prove that, so we will be doing some more testing with Arden, having them back out just to double check the unit all around for any missing seals or anything like that before we move on with adding maybe a baffle to that unit.
The good news is the persistent little with leaks, the 2 or 3 that existed before, they are gone.
Yes.
Correct.
I'm just trying to, how much rain have we had between now and the last meeting? I honestly, I don't know. Has there been enough rain in the last 2 weeks to really determine, make any determination?
No.
Okay.
Because this leak, the new one,
Yeah.
it has never leaked, in the previous 2 years. So we're not sure if it's like a perfect storm of perfectly winter and rain and just when the unit was ramping up and pulling in all that fresh air, or if there's, a bigger issue. So yes, there's some rain this weekend. We can keep an eye on it. But yeah, we did have the roofer out. They found some small cuts in the roof membrane. Thought maybe that was it. We caulked some seams on the unit. Thought that might have been it, but still, it continued to rain or to leak the last couple rainstorms. The roofers also would like to do like a flood test on the roof. They're fairly confident that it's not the roof, and we agree with them. But that would be another way just to prove it's not the roof and that it's likely the unit and somehow working its way through the unit.
Is this going to happen? Is it like actually happening, or they're just thinking about the flood test?
They're thinking about it.
Okay.
We can set it up anytime. We were just wanted to get our quality manager out and see if he had any thoughts. But yeah, that's probably the next step, besides just monitoring it during upcoming rainstorms.
So that's as simple as putting a hose up.
Yeah,
on
you
the
just kind of dam off around the area, fill it up with water, up 2-3 inches, and see if you get any water infiltration. If it doesn't leak during that time when you fill the roof, then it's definitely not the roof. It's somewhere else.
So they're not going to do the whole roof.
No,
They're
just
focusing an
that
area.
general. Yeah, maybe like a 10 by 10 area where the leak is.
All right.
'Cause it could take a long time to.
Yeah, that would take a lot to fill that roof.
All right, so we'll call the situation still unresolved.
Yeah, and under.
And then my next question was about the paint issues, interior paint issues around doorways, et cetera. Is that ongoing, or?
Over April vacation, we have that targeted
Okay, that's what you
to
just said.
address.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you for that. And then just to check in again on the solar arrays above the parking lot, any change there with the expected completion date?
Yeah, so we received some feedback from NGrid, requested some more paperwork. Griffin has sent, I'll say, half of the paperwork in. There's a engineered stamped document that needs to be submitted that NGrid has requested. So Griffin had to hire a engineer to do that document. That is in the process. They've been hired. They're hoping to have it submitted within the next week or so. And hopefully that will kind of kick off the next round of review items.
So no reason to think there's a delay, we're still on track?
Still on track, and I know Griffin has been communicating with the electrical engineer, just kind of bouncing ideas on how we could possibly turn it on temporarily to do the commissioning, just to close the loop for that.
All I had for now, Rob?
Thank you. The seating in the bus loop, at our school committee meeting, we actually heard a student concern related to mosquitoes. So will I'm guessing the new seating and digging out replacement, that will address any additional insect concerns for that area?
Yeah, so it's a wetland seed that's going in, so we're hoping it'll establish a little bit better than what was put in previously. So we won't have as much water, which would attract the mosquitoes. So in theory, yes, the seed will help.
Yeah, so it's designed to hold water during rain events, right? But hopefully with the new seed, the new wetland mix will drink some of the water, but it will also help disperse the water as well into the groundwater.
Yeah, perfect.
Right now, it's kind of just obviously pooling, so.
Typically, detention ponds need to empty within 48 hours. Is that the design here?
I can't speak for KBA, but yeah, it functions like a detention pond, so. And that's actually the GCT that we're asking for approval today is to do that work.
Anything else, Rob?
Yeah, that's it for now, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns about the update, overall update? No? All right. Very good. So we're up to the transfer conversation.
Yep, so GCT 094, seeking approval for that today. This is for landscape sketch 134, the bus loop island revisions, digging that out, regrading it slightly, and then adding the wetland mix. That is a total cost of $26,000. Doesn't increase the GMP, it's coming out of contingency. And this has been reviewed and approved by KBA and Skanska.
So can I just ask, was it a design flaw? Like, why do you have to change it?
The mix design change was a design change, just because of the kind of existing soil characterization. It's just not draining as well. And then it's also partly on consigli, because we made the decision to try to seed that during the summer months, which is outside the planting season. But we were trying to get something established prior to the start of school, so it didn't look like a big dirt dust bowl. And then it didn't hold as we had hoped. So it's kind of both a true contingency request as far as consigli expense, and then also a minor change to the design.
Okay. All right. We need a vote.
To approve GCT
Yes.
94?
Yes.
I think so.
Move to approve.
Thank you for the motion to approve GCT 094. Any more comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, change log.
Yeah, so we only have one open change that we are currently tracking, and it's GCT 093. I think we discussed it last month, but this is just miscellaneous support costs associated with these additional requests, like the freight farm, like the dehumidification. So it's miscellaneous drywall patching, paint touch-up in the shops, any paint touch-up or drywall patching at the Welcome Center desk, and then any GR-related costs like safety or cleanup signage, temp protection while we're doing the work inside the school. So we're just tracking that work as it goes. I have a plug of $40,000. It's probably a little heavy, but just tracking it as we go, and hopefully by April vacation, end of April vacation, all that cost will be compiled, and we'll be able to finalize that. And that's the last open change that we're tracking.
Did you say that was a change order or a contingency?
Contingency.
It's
Yep.
a contingency.
Yeah, we don't plan to submit any more changes. We have the contingency funds remaining, and we'll keep using those, except for the deduct at the end.
Corey, over at the Highland lot, was there some work, some final work that had to be done to comply with the Conservation Commission order?
Yes, yeah, so one of the detention ponds over there, the concrete wall was 7 inches too low to meet the Concom requirements for a 100-year storm. So we had to just raise that wall 7 inches, which that work was completed earlier in February. So that work is complete and can be closed out with KBA.
You still have materials there, so you're getting close to adverse possession. Right, Jack? I think I'm right? No. Are you gonna get that stuff off?
Yeah, so when the landscaper's back,
Just want those pavers.
so when the landscaper's back, he'll come grab those, and
Yeah.
we'll leave a pallet of each
Okay.
paver for you guys.
All right, so do you know when you're gonna, because I know Derek, the superintendent at Park, had done some work over there, and he's the one who asked me, like, when is the stuff coming out? So when do you think it'll be
Yeah,
like?
let's talk to him, but I think early April
Okay.
is when they're gonna mobilize to start prepping the
Okay.
sod areas. So we can set that up with him and designate an area. We'll put all the pavers for you guys, and then we'll get the rest out of there.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Very good.
There was some punch list work also on the playground for the Early Childhood Center?
Yeah, there was just one item that was addressed 2 weeks ago, just to do with the turf and how it terminated at one of the concrete pads. So that work has been completed. There is an outstanding inspection report that we created punch list items for, and we're just waiting on a response from the equipment vendor because they had some disputes over the inspector's findings. So we're just waiting for that before we move forward.
Very good. So on to bills and payments.
So this month, actually it was for the month of February, Skanska's invoice totaled $48,455. That puts us at about 97% complete of our contract. KBA submitted an invoice for $482, and that is being billed against their closeout. They still have a little bit more to bill. They're at 96% complete with their contract. And then Consigli submitted an invoice. The amount certified was $324,836.04. And that was just for contract work that was completed. There was a little bit of retainage withheld just for ongoing work and for the subs that are still on site. So the total invoice for the month was $421,773.04. That's all the way up to the top, because the amount certified is different from the billed amount for Consigli. And it puts us out, I think we're billed to 99% right now, total, so we're almost there.
Very good, thank you, Angela. Any comments, questions, concerns about the outstanding bills? Bob?
Not about the outstanding bills, but related to the contingency and the remaining balance and where we are related to budget. We, over the weekend, some of the school buildings had a capital improvements walkthrough with our city council. And one of the projects that's identified as a need is the surface of the track. The football field and track were not part of this project. They were redone in 2013, I believe.
13, 14.
And the lifespan of the surface of the track is set to expire in the next year or two. So we didn't know, the question that was raised was if we are projecting to come in somewhat under budget on this project, could any of the remaining contingency or any of the remaining bond money be put towards that, towards resurfacing the track rather than using other city funds for it? So
There's a couple,
you folks have had more dealings with the MSBA in this
there's a
process.
couple of, well, first of all, the MSBA would not participate because it wasn't part of the original scope. And it is the city's money, and it is the high school. And if there was a decision to either perform that work under this contract or recognize the savings and then say next summer, whenever, or the summer after that you're going to do the work, I would think that's kind of a conversation internal to the city about how you would want to allocate that money.
I think the auditor might be consulted on that.
Yeah, so Mason and I spoke.
As well as probably bond counsel.
Yeah, we spoke briefly about it today. We need time to figure out how, if and how we do it. So, yeah, we just had that conversation in the hallway today, as I mentioned to you. So thank you for raising that, Rob.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll hopefully have an answer then.
the clear piece is that the MSBA wouldn't participate. They ultimately decide whether or not they participate in change orders that have been throughout the project, but I think it's clear that this is outside the original scope. So that at least answers that half of the question. It's not like we're gonna recognize reimbursement for it. But there's also implications on it being, this is part of the debt exclusion of the high school, so we'd have to talk to bond counsel. It's something we talked about today, we'd explore. There's a lot of reasons we would say no, but there's also, again, if there's an opportunity to do this in the scope of the project, we want to explore that, so.
For the record, sorry, Marilyn, what was the dollar amount estimated on those improvements? And forgive me if you said it,
I believe it was 1
300?
350K?
Yeah.
Oh, so
For
that's-
and to be clear, because I know there were some questions about this on social media, it's just the surface of the track, which after the first 10 to 12 years of life needs to be replaced. The base of the track, which is more important, is in good shape and should last another 10 to 15 years, if I'm remembering correctly from the discussion over the weekend.
So just to go a little further, Minuteman had some savings at the end of the project. And what Minuteman did was they got approval through the school committee, and they reached out to the multiple member towns, and they ended up adding money because they decided they would add a whole field and lighting and all kinds of things that was not part of the original scope. So in that particular case, the Mass School Building Authority wanted to know that if you are doing other work, even if they're not going to participate in it, they would like to know what money was spent on the project. If it's going to come under your internal project number, whether or not this group's involved with the work. So I just thought I would just raise that from their accounting perspective, they would like to know what the final cost was.
And if we make a decision either way, you would want to be informed either way? Do you folks need to know if and when we make a decision on this?
Which have to.
Well, I think you have to, just so we can
Okay.
kind of, with the final audit and closeout, which takes time with the MSBA, that they would want to know.
All right, no, duly noted.
Thank
This
you.
is a question, though, in my mind, because we're talking 10, 11 years down the road from the track, but the artificial field was
yeah.
installed at around the same time, and my memory was that we had, was it a 10-year warranty or a 12-year warranty, one or the other, on that, with an expected life of maybe 14, and now I'm going way back in the memory banks here. But do we know, Mark or Jason or Rob, what the status of the actual football field is?
I know the field was also part of the capital improvement request from the schools. It was not included in the 350,000, but the surface of the track was the higher priority.
Right, the track is at the point where we need to do something or address it. The field has another 2 or 3 or 4 years before we need to formally address it. The problem with both is when you get to that end of life, whenever that is, it's sort of digital. You're using it on Tuesday, on Wednesday you can't. It's done. You can't just sort of use it. The track, both surfaces will become unsafe if the track was stopped using. So we provided the council with just a heads up that the football field is going to become due sometime in the next 2 to 5 years. The track is, as Roger said, is more urgent, now or a year maybe we can. We're going to start applying Band-Aids, little patch kits to the surface to prevent it from eroding at the base.
I have a vague memory that back at the time we put the field in, that there was talk of creating some sort of a fund, and anybody who rented the fields, we would save that money towards the replacement. Did that happen?
Yes. Yeah, we have, I don't know what the current balance is, but we have put money aside every year from use of athletic facility fees to help support the replacement of the field.
I think over the weekend it was estimated that it's around 80,000 is the balance in that account. And that's, I think, because we try to keep the prices low so that they're accessible for organizations, so that doesn't leave a lot of profit margin for it.
I'm sure the replacement of that field's going to be a bigger number than the 350 we were just talking about, right?
It was, was it 1.2?
About 1.2 for the field, for the football field.
Also, just to add another comment, that given that it's a track that already exists, and you may do the work in another year or two, I think if we were to proceed with just closing out the project, that you folks could, at your own pace, make a decision about how to do that, and we would go through the process, because, how should I put it? There's money that the MSBA hangs on to until the project is closed out, that last 5%. And instead of delaying that closeout date, I would think you would want to recognize that money and then decide to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we've
Cash flow wise, that's how I'm looking at
well,
it.
we've talked about this a lot. So the longer it takes to get to closeout, like the longer it takes to start closeout pushes back the date of closeout. And it also, the implication on that is the longer we need to reissue bans or certain borrowings, and so there's additional debt service on the budget and realistically on the taxpayer. So again, that's any additional at this point, it affects that timeline. So that's always a factor.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, the question came up, so I figured I had some experts in the room,
I had to think, and then I thought, oh, the 5%,
Yeah.
money in the pocket.
No, thank you for that, Maren. Thanks for the question, Rob.
Yeah, and if it is something the school committee needs to approve, then absolutely send it over and we'll get it done as quick as we can.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? I guess we need a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second. Any questions about the bills? Concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, barring any last-minute thoughts, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Yes, Jack?
Yeah, one last minute thought. Mason, on April 17th, which is the next meeting of this group, we're also going to have a special meeting of the Municipal Building Commission. Did we decide if we're doing that before or after?
Should be after. Won't really have time before.
So therefore, for those of you who are on the MBC, just remember that at the next meeting, we're going to have a bid opening for the Willett window wall repairs and we'll be holding a special meeting right after this one to make a recommendation to the mayor on that issue. Wanted to-
I'm sorry, April 17th is during April vacation. We had moved our February meeting back a week because of February vacation. Do we want to do the same for April?
uh,
That would move it to the 24th.
If we do that with this meeting, then that's okay. We'll just have our special meeting of the MBC at City Hall that night. So is there likelihood that we won't get a quorum on April 17th is really, I think, the relevant question here, right?
I'm not going anywhere. I didn't know if we wanted to.
We'll be here.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we can keep it on the 17th.
Sounds good, I'll be here too, so. So as I was saying, I entertain a motion to adjourn at 5:55.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye, opposed? None, we are adjourned. Thank